Is the microphone even plugged in? Is the lens clean? No. Am I going to clean it? No. So let's get started. So if you were watching last week, you may have seen I mentioned we might be doing a van build to the old van. And we're here this week to talk about the first stages of the build. Drinks tea for dramatic effect. So today we're doing the framing and insulation of the walls and ceiling to get ready for the walls and ceiling. So we're emptying the van first. It's full of crap that I've picked up over the past couple of days. I've got a big bit of wood, which I got really cheap. Insulation, we've got a sink, we've got flooring, just bits and pieces I've been picking up on my travels, more or less. The next stage was to rip up the horrible floorboards. Underneath it was full of dirt, which we'll get to. I took out the other laminate which I put in there just temporarily for when I was using the van as a kind of workhorse stroke couch mover. I don't know. I then stripped the boards down to a smaller, more manageable size before then going and taking out the temporary lighting system I put in the van, just because we don't need it anymore. It's going to get in the way. It has to go. I then took some measurements for the wall joists. I don't know if you can call it that in a van. The wall supports, more or less. I used 47s by 19s by 1.8 metre lengths, which I bought from Wix. I think it cost me about £17 for about 8, which sounds like a lot, but it is what it is. It's wood. So I just fastened these into the van's already there frame. Don't be an idiot. If you're going to do this, make sure you don't go through the wall of the van to the outside, because that wouldn't be good. After that is insulation time. We're using a wool insulation because it's the cheapest option there is. We more or less just had to cram this into every nook and cranny of the van, into the walls, and having this frame also helps kind of hold it in place on the straighter bits. And because it's a wool insulation, it is it's not perishable, it's damageable, I don't know the word. Basically you have to put a vapour barrier up to stop any condensation from like your breath and stuff like that in cooking, otherwise it gets damp and you don't want that. So you put a vapour barrier up and that stops that. For the ceiling it was the same process again. I used slightly skinnier bits of wood because that's all I could find at an 18mm depth. We used a full length for the van, so 2.4 metres down, so it was a full run of the back of the van, and same process. So when it came to securing the vapour barrier, first time round I tried it with duct tape I already had. It didn't really work too well, it was kind of coming away a little bit. So I just took it all off and went round it with Gorilla Tape. That way I knew that no moisture was getting into that. So then Wilson and I ended up cleaning the floor of the van because it was minging. We just used buckets of hot soapy water, scrubbed the floor, pushed it all out. I jacked up the front of the van eventually trying to get it to go out the back. And then just more water and vacuumed up the water that we couldn't really get out. So that is all for this instalment of the van project. Stay tuned for next week when we shall be doing the wooden cladding on the walls and ceiling. If we're not doing that, we will be doing something else. I'm not sure what, but we'll do something else. That is the first time I've had a cup of tea make it through the whole of a video. That's not the case now, is it? It's all over the desk. Great. I'll see you next week.